Oh boy. This is your good buddy DJ Clive, the RANMA 1/2 character profile guy. Still sounding a bit nasally after my past few commentaries. This is the super cold that will not go away. I don't know what to say about this. This kind of thing happens to me every year, and I don't understand. I think I would agree to be really sick in short bursts, rather than just be a little bit sick for a long period of time, because I'm going on 3 weeks with this damn cold, and there's about 3 different projects I'd love to be working on right now, but I can't do them because I'm not of full voice. So I decided to do yet another commentary. Actually, this is a weekly thing, so you know, by hook or crook, I always do these things. This one is going to be entitled Behind the Scenes Terrors, and you might be wondering why. You might be looking at the 2 profiles I'm going to be chronicling today, the Natsume and Kurumi profile and the Madame St. Paul profile, as just 2 random profiles that didn't really seem to have many special effects, and they wouldn't really warrant being such a hardship behind the scenes. But truth be told, they both really were. This one in particular almost made me quit the RANMA biz altogether because of just the amount of headaches it caused me. Now, you might recall this was a part of a very large special I did a few years back called Bit Character Month 2, in which I took a very long hiatus from doing YouTube videos after the whole WMG scandal. But regardless of that, I was still feverishly at work for a good 4 months putting together at least like 15 different profiles. And this one was smack dab in the middle, and I had just finished this profile. I was ready to move on to my next one. But before I went there, I decided to go back and add some like really fancy fades and stuff like that, transition effects. This was at a point where I was really learning how to use my my Pinnacle software and take advantage of all the different special effects. I was really having fun with it, and I did, at the end of this profile, I do like a false ending where I say this is a RANMA 1/2 character profile, but it really goes on from there. And at that point, I put in this title screen that was kind of like a deinterlace effect, in which the title was there for a split second and it just kind of starts to melt away. And for whatever reason, this effect was too big an effect for the Pinnacle Studio to handle. And when I tried to save my project, the whole thing conked out. Like, the studio program stopped in the middle of the save, which essentially erased my profile. And I tried for days trying to get this profile back, trying to breathe life into it. The funny thing is that I could see all my footage that I had worked on. I could still open up the time window fine, but I just couldn't watch it. And it was very strange. I tried multiple times to transfer my movie into a file, but every time I did it, you'd only be able to hear it. All you would get is a black screen throughout the entire thing. So this was me for literally about a week and a half trying to resuscitate this profile, and I was starting to get some real second thoughts about doing these things, because, you know, you put a lot of work into these profiles, and then all of a sudden your software can all of a sudden, right out of the blue, just pull the rug out from under you and say, nope, no good, start over. And yeah, just having that hanging over my head, I mean, it was enough to make me quit right then and there. I was like thinking to myself that I could disappear very easily if I wanted. I had already been gone a couple of months at the time I put this thing together. And who knows what might have happened if I wasn't able to bring this profile back from the dead. I forget really the process I went through to get this thing back, but I remember it was a major ordeal. It involved taking all the audio out of it, re-recording it as its own movie, and the video I really had to clean up. I had to go in there, I had to remove all the transition effects, pretty much every effect in there, and what I did was I copied it, I opened up a new movie window and I pasted it, and I was able to save it that way. In doing so, I had to muck up my original vision somewhat. I had to remove a lot of transition effects that weren't just straight fades in and out, although some, see, like right there, that fade the program was able to handle, but a lot of them, for whatever reason, it wasn't. And when Pinnacle Studio goes through the process of transferring your movie project into a file, a little slide bar goes over your entire project, and you watch it as it goes, and you'd see exactly where the problem was. And usually when it hit like a simple fade effect, it would stop, and just like immediately the program would start thinking really, really hard, and you hear the computer making lots and lots of noise. And then at that point I'd be like, all right, this isn't worth it. And I would stop the whole process, and I would get rid of that fade. So in order to do this project, I had to get rid of a lot of fades. For whatever reason, I don't know. So you might notice that this one had a little bit more of an unfinished look to it. That's the reason why, because my program was giving me so many problems for whatever reason. Sometimes it just likes to do that just to F with you. Simple things like titles and, you know, like little effects here and there I was able to add in post. But aside from that, a lot of the profile could not be saved without destroying it. And it was a delicate operation. It was like one of those you hear about in the like hospital television shows. Like if you hit the wrong organ, you'll lose the patient. The same goes for this profile. Maybe that's a strange way of looking at it, but it really was similar. So yeah, I mean, this profile will always have that in the back of my mind whenever I watch this. That sick pit in my stomach that I felt during those trying days. And this was at a point where I didn't want any interruptions. I didn't want anything to delay my progress. And here I was. This was a week going, just me wrestling with this project, trying to get it off the ground. And it was like one of those early antique pre-Wright Brothers planes that you see in those old videos that you see them trying to get off the ground, and they just do not fly no matter what. Here comes one of those shots. See right there, it was a jump shot. Originally there was a fade in between then and here. It looks very awkward in this video because I had to remove that transition effect. Now right here is the aforementioned effect that ended up screwing up my entire video, and now that I look at it, it's bringing back the memory of what I exactly did. You see, it's because I have two fades happening congruently there, one on top of the other. That was the reason why my program had a problem with it, because it couldn't handle the two fades at once. And they weren't happening at even intervals, if I remember right. They were at like one fade was longer than the other. And I guess that would be considered a complicated fade effect to my program, so it automatically conked out on me. It's pretty much screwed up my whole work and pretty much all but erased it, if I didn't have to get really, really clever to try to get it back. I had to really tap into my inner Dr. Frankenstein to resuscitate this one. And speaking of tap, so now you see firsthand the absolute crap that I'm working with here. They say it's a poor mechanic that blames his tools, but I am no poor mechanic here. I got a legitimate gripe with the tools that I use. First, it's Pinnacle Studio, and now I gotta complain about my microphone. You heard the last bit that I just finished recording. I'm not going back and redoing that whole thing. The whole thing was absolutely ruined by my microphone. And this is a very expensive mic. This cost about over $200, this mic. I don't know if something got jostled within it. I mean, I know I've carried around this microphone to make like videos and stuff like that. Maybe I've abused it, but for whatever reason, every once in a while, like this microphone gets real weird static on it, and the only way to get rid of it is to tap it a couple times. And then sometimes it goes away and sometimes it comes in louder. I don't know what the hell kind of a malfunction that is. But, you know, if there's anybody out there who wants to cue me in on it, I'd love to know, because it's really annoying, and if there's any way I can fix it, that would be great, because it really has ruined its share of line readings for me. Which brings us to sound. Sound is a very, very important and fragile thing when making these videos. I'm finding this out the hard way. One of the more common errors of this software is that the sound drops out on you. For whatever reason, during playback, you try to listen to it and you don't hear anything. No music, no voices, not even the original audio that went with the video. You can't hear Jack S. But anyways, to get the sound back, you usually just, you X out the program and then you reload it and the sound comes back. But other times you have to go into sub-menus, try to get the sound back. And a few other times I had to actually go online and find new sound drivers for the Pinnacle program, which is a real pain in the buttocks, especially if you're not computer learned like myself. But anyway, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this profile, a profile with its share of hardships. This is the Madame St. Paul profile, and this is yet another one where I had just taken a very long hiatus from the profile biz, and I was getting right back into it. This was my first profile out the gate, and I was very displeased in how this one came out, particularly because of the sound. Of course, it's always the sound that screws up. And this time it was all Pinnacle Studio. It was just, there was a very complicated effect in this one. You could probably guess. It was Tobias. Tobias was a new character I was bringing in. I was finally giving a face to my uppity school marm voice. And to match the voice, like the voice is kind of jittery and kind of hyper, I wanted Tobias to come across as very, very hyper. So what I had to do was I had to film Tobias's scenes in slow motion. I recorded the audio and I played it back really, really slowly, and I moved Tobias's mouth to the slow dialogue. Then I took that recording and I put it into the movie and ran it congruently with the original audio, and I sped it up so it matched up, but it came across as very, very twitchy and very fast. But as you find out as you do these things, Pinnacle Studio hates when you screw with the speed. And every time you even touch the speed, the audio on your project will be screwed with in so many damn different ways. I've had hiccups, I've had fumfers, I've had just like popping audio and like popping speakers. I've had sound completely drop out of scenes. I've had sound just completely like slip a beat, and then all of a sudden my voice wouldn't match what was going on screen. Everything you could possibly think of that can happen to a sound has happened with this program, and usually it's because of screwing with the speed. I say usually because it always finds a new reason. Like, it doesn't have to be that. It could always be something different. But with this one, it was definitely the speed of Tobias that really screwed with the overall product. And it really killed me because this was a vision of mine that it grew and grew as I was making it, and you know, I was pleased with how it was turning out. It's just that, you know, when you look at the finished product and you're like, okay, this is the best I'm going to be able to get it, and you just fire it off on YouTube and you just hope everyone's happy. But deep down, I'm not happy, you know, because I wish it could be perfect. I wish it could be true to my original vision. And when you play it back in the playback window and you listen to it there, it sounds fine. It's only when you transfer it to a file does it really, really screw up. So it's, you know, it breaks your heart that all your hard work goes to an incomplete product in the end, something that you're not really all that thrilled with. But this was the case with Madame St. Paul. I realize a lot of people didn't really approve of this profile. I think maybe it was more because of the Tobias antics than anything. But I think a big reason why this isn't one of my favorites is because of the stupid sound on it. Of course, it's not all gloom and doom with this profile. I do have some positive things to say about it. It was a lot of fun to put this one together. In fact, there's a scene coming up where I was pretty much accurately able to match my vision, and that's this scene right here with the whole my take on the martial arts dining technique. And to me, I mean, how could it look any more perfect than that? That's exactly the way it's supposed to look. As for Tobias, I already talked about him, her, it on another one of these commentaries. Tobias wasn't originally my character. It was a character that was created by my cousin Jean on a long car ride. She had one of those stick bird puppet things. She was aiming out the window of the car and just harassing other drivers, like when they got into traffic. Some people wonder what the heck gender Tobias is supposed to be, and my answer is always the same. I don't know what gender he's supposed to be. Jean originally started him off as a boy, but Jean always talked in this uppity nature, which kind of eerily was similar to my old Biddy voice, which in my mind is supposed to be a female voice. But in the end, all these ideas came colliding together and created Tobias. And Tobias is a genderless bird. That's all I can say about it. Well, let's see what more to say about this one as my heat kicks in back of me, putting more background noise on this mic. Like we need any more background noise. Well, like I said, this one came after a really long hiatus of doing RANMA 1/2 character profiles, and it didn't start off really as a hiatus, but more of me just taking a breather and getting ready to do the RANMA Sao Tome profile, which was going to be the next profile. But I had taken so long of a delay that I decided to go back into the profile making biz just to fill the void, because I couldn't, spend all that time working on RANMA Sao Tome and not have anything to fill the interim, because I would have been gone like a full year before I posted anything on YouTube, and I couldn't do that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of my subscribers would have dropped me because they would have just assumed that I was dead or something, or just not putting out videos anymore. So yeah, this is a profile that almost never was, as well as everything else that followed it. These characters were never supposed to be initially profiled. They were considered way too low on the pecking order to be profiled. But I decided to go back and cover these bases. And I'm glad I did, because some of my better profiles came out of this. I mean, following this one came the Wonton, Sarutaro, and Toristan profile, which I would gladly put in my top 10 of ones that I've done so far. The Vengeful Spirit Doll profile is also up there. I like how that one came out too. And I'm happy to say that Jara White and I are simultaneously working on our second and third manga profile. Something I never thought I'd be doing, but that's all part and parcel when it comes to these things. I mean, I never thought I would be doing Madame St. Paul, and I did her anyway. Now there's a little bit coming up that probably went over 99.9% of everybody's heads, because it's really an in-joke between me and Jean. This just really a shout out to her for the usage of the Tobias character. When she would point this thing out the window of the car, she'd always shout out, "Honk for the birds!" And that became kind of like the catchphrase of Tobias. And there's Tobias right there going, "Honk for the birds!" And that's me kind of saying thank you to Jean for the usage of her character. I hope she doesn't mind what I've done to him. Her, it, whatever. And just a little tidbit of trivia, I filmed that on the way home from the beach shoot that I did in the DJ Clive The Mission Begins Again video, in which it was the dead of November. I was freezing cold after just taking a dive in that water, and still here I am with the windows wide open driving with a stick bird out the window. So yeah, that's just a little juicy tidbit there for people to know on. And this is your good buddy DJ Clive with yet another RANMA 1/2 character profile commentary. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and enduring the impending commercial breaks. I'm sure that Dailymotion has bastardized this video with, numerous commercial breaks. I hate that, and that's for another video altogether. So what do I say about these two profiles? These two profiles which cause me to pull hair out and cause premature baldness on my cranium. Well, mishaps will happen, and they will have a tendency to happen with Pinnacle Studio, anything Pinnacle. Just the sound problems and the hiccups and just everything. It'll always happen with this frickin' program, and I'm hoping to keep that to a minimum when it comes to the RANMA Sao Tome profile. I'm going to be trying to use Avid Studio, which has been giving me comparatively less problems as to Pinnacle, but it's more murder to use that program because it's not very user friendly, like I've mentioned before. So yeah, I mean, crap happens. I mean, what can I say? And I apologize for putting people through it. I mean, people with superior sound systems, these profiles must not sound very great on a big speaker system, but I wouldn't know. So anyway, this is me. I've yammered long enough. So until next week, life is RANMA, guys. Take it easy.